Welcome to today's talk session. My name is Deidre Moss, and I am the host of Can We Talk? Today, we will continue our session on agriculture and food security. And so today, I would like to welcome back our guests today, Mr. Trevor Claiborne and Mr. John Harris. And I briefly introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Henry Harris. I'm a co-host on B1 Ag, the Daily Bread podcast show. You can find us at the Black Boss channel on YouTube, as well as brothersonsports.com on Facebook. That's where we go live. And our show, we focus on Black agriculture as it pertains to production, marketing, economics, health, food, nutrition for the Black community. Happy to be here. Big ups to all the people down in the islands. I can't wait to see y'all, and I can't wait to have some food to break some bread with y'all.
Peace to the B1 family. My name is Trevor Claiborne, aka Farmer Brown MC, co-host of B1 Ag Podcast, Daily Bread Podcast, and co-founder of Black Soil KY. We're really heavy into our goal is to reach 250,000 third through fifth grade melanated students across the diaspora to really bring our numbers back into this thing we call agriculture.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I just wanted to reiterate that this is like an international panel today. So we at Can We Talk, we like inclusivity. Yes, inclusivity. And we know that the world is bigger than us. So our main thing is we want to open up a dialogue. We want to open up a discussion to include everyone, okay? Not just here in the Bahamas, but regionally, internationally, we want to talk about these issues that impact us. Mr. Harris, you almost threw me off with the food. What type of food? Sorry, you what type of food you talking about?
Hey, I like I myself am a foodie. I cook very well. Especially if you put me on that barbecue grill, I give you a run for your money. But I love fresh produce, fruits, vegetables. But then I am down. I eat ital. I'm with it all. I love the flavors and just the freshness of when I think of the islands and Jamaica and the Bahamas. I just think of all that fresh.
So you need to try some of our native food. You have you ever tried our tropical conch salad?
That's very big here in Florida. I also used to live in Jacksonville, Florida. So the conch salad is very big in Florida.
Okay, so you tried that.
But I haven't had the authentic, you know what I'm saying? I need that. I need some of that.
You need the authentic, yes. So you threw me off now. Why you threw me off with the food, man? Okay, that's a separate talk.
And that's but that's the greatest thing about food. You're talking about inclusive. There's very few things that are as inclusive as food, because we all have to eat. Food is a language within itself. You can say hello, you can say I love you, you can say welcome, you can say so many things just with a great plate of food.
Absolutely. Now, the last time, Mr. Claiborne, you did a rap. I don't know.
Beat one ag. I want the bag. Work my way from a garden to a track. Flip it from a track to a plot full of acres. Do it for the farmers and producers and the makers. What we even here for? Occasionally I ask it. I know it's more than struggling, anticipating the casket. Reap what we sow, trying to fill up my basket. Life's a plantation, I self-law and master. Over the plot I've been granted on this planet, now it's slanted because the chosen been supplanted. But if you overstand it, it was spoken. Fractured, but we ain't broken. Even though some would rather play the role of token, we growing. Black to the essence of our presence. We carry the blood of gods, but carry the mind of peasants. Rich black gardens, future look more like Eden. Multiply seeds like the seed banks in Sweden. Rep my plannings on plan according to season. B1 code, switching it up is treason. Black power, family, what we eating? Either we getting fed or we feeding.
Hey, thank you, thank you. So welcome again, welcome back. We realize that we need to have this discussion. We need to continue this conversation on agriculture and food security. And I just want to say that, you know, a number of persons, they would have commented under the video, and so a farmer reached out to me. So hopefully, I'm hoping he can pop in and share his challenges today. We'll see, but we'll continue on with our points. And so, first point is where we left off: concern. What is food security? Should we be concerned about food security, especially in our communities? So, any one of you or both of you can take that question.
Well, first, I would like to ask your viewers how you feel about 3D printed chicken. I would like to ask your viewers how you feel about lab grown beef. I would like to ask your viewers, because I know we have an issue up here in the States. Do you know who is actually producing your food that we're getting in the stores if we know that 90% of the food coming in is exported? Here in North America, 90% of our seafood comes from Asia. With all of the streams, all the lakes in North America, we get 90% of our seafood from somewhere else.
Could you repeat that? Sorry?
90% of our seafood, and I'm actually being liberal, comes from Asia. 90%, not 9, not 19, 90% of our seafood that we eat here in North America comes from across the ocean in shipping containers. Currently, across the world, there are only 77 different agents to check whether or not food is organic or not. I know this word organic has been thrown around a lot, you know, within the agricultural and food community. But, you know, once again, I'm questioning the viewers. How much do you really know about what we're eating outside of what is on a label? And so when you bring that concept up of food security, you know, we like to laugh and smile, but you have to smile to keep from crying to see how compromised our food security is, especially in our communities. I do hope the brother's able to get on this farming to kind of lay out, you know, some of the issues going on down there, but also understand up here in North America, we kind of touched on it a little bit. Out of 100% of us that eat, only 1.4% of 3.5 million farmers are melanated. This has huge implications, not only when we're talking about building wealth, but food security. Who's producing the food that we're eating is the rhetorical question that I'm asking.
And you know, here in America, you know, especially in our community, melanated peoples, high blood pressure, heart attacks, diabetes, cancer. We are disproportionately suffering from all these diseases that are tied to the food that we eat. Now, as you said, we only have 1.4, we only produce, our farmers only account for 1.4% of the farmers in America. Yet we have all these health problems that are derived from our diet. I hope you can make the connection to see it. The food that we're eating is making us sick, and we have very little to do with the production of that food. That's a poster child for food insecurity. You know, we're buying food, we're paying for our death, we're paying for our sicknesses, because that's what's available to us. And if we don't make sure that we can become food secure, if we don't educate ourselves on even what food really looks like, we can be presented with almost anything and accept it as what they say it is, and it could be nothing but poison. So here at B1 Ag, and then you know, we want to start this conversation and really get people talking all around the world to really take a closer look. Is this really an apple? Is this really a tomato? Let me make better, more informed, conscientious decisions about what I choose to put in my body when I feed myself. Let me make sure that I'm putting something in my food, into my body, that's going to bring forth life.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing, Mr. Claiborne. That is definitely a interesting point that you mentioned with the bodies of water that you have surrounding you, and then you still have 90% of your food that is imported. That's a thing. That's definitely a thing. And Mr. Harris, we have the same issue here. We have an issue with non-communicable diseases in our country. And as you mentioned, that is connected to the food that we eat. There's hypertension, there's a large population with diabetes. So all of these things are reflected in the food that we eat. So we don't get a handle on what we're putting into our bodies. It's going to the issue is going to continue to exaggerate, or the issue is going to continue to get worse.
It
So
was
we need to talk.
scary. It was scary is that you can think that you're putting something in your body that is good for you, but because of food fraud, which is on the rise,
Wow,
you
that's a
really could be
thing.
putting something, you really, are you sure what you're eating? Can you really
That's a
be?
thing.
It really is. It's it's I used to be surprised, like people wouldn't do that. People aren't that greedy that they'll take this shortcut. Are they doing this on purpose? I used to think that, no, that wouldn't happen. 2021, it'll happen. It can happen. Matter of fact, it's happened.
What do they say? Follow the money, food fraud. A lot of times we think of black market, we think of organ harvesting, we think about slavery, which still exists, we think about drugs. Food fraud is a $55 billion a year business. Just food fraud. This is selling produce that I assume is one thing, but it's another. So this is big business when you say, why would somebody do this?
Thank you for sharing. They're doing it for the money. This is money. This is the money. I want to thank you for sharing that, and providing that statistics, Mr. Claiborne. And Mr. Harris, thank you for sharing that, because you may be thinking, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm eating healthy. I think this is some good stuff I'm putting in my body. All the while, it's doing more harm than good. So that's definitely a good point that you raised. And so let's look at our next point. That is an issue. That's a thing. That's an issue. But what is in your opinion, what is one of the biggest issues within your community that negatively impacts agriculture and food security, and how can this issue be resolved?
Information is key. When you have true, valid information, whether you're talking about an individual, a family, community, nation, you can make better decisions. But if you have me running a race and you have me running backwards, it doesn't matter how fast I run, I'm not going to win. Saying that to say, it's not to say everybody in North America is not aware of where their food comes from or how to produce. But statistically speaking, on average, we're about 3 generations away from farms, all of us. Out of, like we keep talking about this 1.4%. Numbers don't lie. We do have a Bureau of Labor and Statistics up here, and I'm curious to know what your agency or office is in the Bahamas or the islands that keeps tracks of these statistics, because we realize a lot of us aren't in any of the fields that are actually producing the food. We tend to think of agriculture as just, being out in the field working, but you also have to store this food. You also have to process this food. You also have to distribute this food. There are companies that never touch a farm, never touch a laboratory, but the marketing piece of it, just letting people know that this is a product to be bought, then access to markets. And so I don't know what the culture is down there in the islands, but up here, a lot of people get their food from grocery stores. These are your large chains. And so one of the challenges for what we call Black melanated farmers is being able to, for one, compete with the farm that has 1,000 acres. If I have only 100 acres, it's going to be hard for me to compete with a farm that has thousands of acres, getting government subsidies to keep their operation going, to be able to produce millions of dollars worth of produce, to really have a good relationship with these large grocery store chains. And so a lot of times we're shut out of markets. So what do you have left? You have a farmer's market, what we have up here. And these are basically markets separate from a grocery store. But even with those, in a lot of areas, some of our farmers are priced out of these markets. And so, yeah, we'll let you set your cart up here, but you're gonna have to give me $800. That's the going price in Kentucky, $800, just for the spring and summer farmers market. And you're taking a chance that somebody's gonna buy your produce. When we talk about this marketing, unfortunately, a lot of us have not been socialized to see ourselves as producers. And so there's this concept, it's a funny trope, but it's horrible, that the white man's ice is colder. We don't like to put color when we're talking about food because our stomachs don't see color. They know if they're being fed or not. But when we're talking about the markets, and as you asked the question, what are some of the problems that we face? Exactly that. Financing. And so we know in mainstream North America, the majority of farms, the mainstream farmers are getting 40% of their subsidies to get their operations going from taxpayer dollars. These same subsidies aren't available for what we call the Black farmers. Every so often, maybe every 5 years, whenever there's a change of administration, you'll have somebody come in with a glimmer of hope. Hey, we're going to pass a bill to, we'll make some land available to you. We don't know if it's good land or not. Hey, we're going to forgive some of your debt, but we're going to make this debt forgiveness available for everybody. And so every year you have this hope that, okay, maybe, the government, maybe I'll say system sees the injustices that have been done, and they're going to be willing to help us. And so, agriculture is very specific. I can't plant my crop this year based on maybe I'll get some help. I can't plant my crop based on maybe I'll have a market. One of the worst things you can do as an agriculturalist is start a huge crop, start a huge operation, and not have a market to sell it. Because once again, you're going into, okay, maybe, what if I don't have anywhere to store it? That means I just spent the whole growing season with something that's going to go it's going to go rotten. What if I get my operation started, but then I realize, okay, I don't have the capital to have a workforce or equipment to harvest it? Then it's going to rot in the field. So some of these are the dynamics when we think about food security, and it's tying into the question you asked, what are the problems? Unfortunately, a critical mass of our community, because the agriculturalists know it. People like yourself, you understand, hey, this is very serious, but you have to have a critical mass of people that see this. And I hate to use the word problem because it sounds so negative, but our inability to collectively, and like you said, this is a global issue. Our inability to collectively see, like, hey, regardless of where we live at, what tongue we speak, we see the people that look like ourselves are getting the short end of the stick when it comes to the food that we're eating and the economics and revenue that's received from producing the food. We come from people that produce food. I question you, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, how much money is coming into the islands from agriculture? What is the racial demographic of landowners in the Caribbean? We know that down there, many of the crops, there's also poultry, livestock, dairy, winter vegetables, citrus, but who's making money? Where is your database to count these things? Because once again, if you're starting a race and you really don't know which direction you're running, it doesn't matter how fast you're running.
And also one of the easiest ways to economically debase a group of people, and the way they've been doing it is denying access. On a consumer level, even when we do go to the grocery stores, it takes more energy for our people to get to the grocery stores because the grocery stores don't tend to be in our neighborhoods. When it comes to access, again, just on the consumer level, the types of food that they'll send to the areas where we reside. Like I'm down in South Jordan. Now I'm down where all the Black farmers are, where the majority of Black farmers are. However, when I go up to Kentucky, where Trevor's at, and I can go to the same grocery store, we have this, it's a grocery chain called Kroger's. Now, when I go to Kroger's, I see the food, but when I go to Kroger's in Kentucky, especially where more non-melanated people live on that side of town, I am looking at some of the most beautifulest, and I know that's not a real word, but the most beautifulest food I've ever seen in my life. I'm talking about rows and rows and just cases of the best looking lettuces and carrots and so many different varieties of vegetables and fruits. And then when I come back home, I'm looking like, man, it's a little raggedy. You know what I'm saying? Half of it looks like, low grade. They give us the lowest grade. And, they deny us access to this food. And then on a production level, when we're not farming, the main reason why we're not farming because they keep taking all our land, or they trick it out of us, or we just give it away. So when, as a people, when you're not owning the land, that is a major foundation of wealth. Because the last time I checked, God hasn't made any more land. So that land is never going to get less valuable. So we just want to make sure that our people, we know and can spot and become more aware of what true value is, what is really valuable, and how these elements, we can reclaim them to become stronger physically, mentally, spiritually, and economically.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Claiborne. I'm going to get to your point. Mr. Harris, I just want to address that thing when you compare the marketplace within your communities and the places outside of your community, and you see the difference, right, in the produce and the vegetables. So that's an interesting point, because sometimes it's the look that appeals to us as well. And so when you find that you have something that looks appealing, I mean, for me, you would want to buy. If it's appealing, I definitely would want to buy the product. So I want to thank you for sharing that. So I want to talk about what we have, Mr. Claiborne, when you talk about what we have in our country. Let me just pull up that information. I want to talk about what we have. So we do have the Department of Agriculture and Marine Resources. And so I'm going by what the website is saying. Okay, so the website is saying the responsibilities is for agriculture, food production, agricultural marketing, horticulture, quality control of food and beverage, protection of plants, public markets, slaughterhouses, agricultural lands. And so that would be the body that is responsible for our agriculture and food security. And then we also have the Bahamas Agriculture and Marine Science Institute. And so this body is also responsible for training. So let me just pull up. I just had that information. I want to pull up their mission. I don't see it. Oh yeah. Let me just pull up their mission statement. There's a video here. I wonder if I could share this. Let me just share this video. I have it here. I'll just share the video. Would you like to add anything while I pull up that video?
I would like to just say, outside of just eating and making money and economics, there's a certain level of stewardship, there's a certain level of reverence, there's a certain level of appreciation that we need to put into the mix as well. We need to start taking care of the land better, rotate crops, use things that aren't going to strip the land of its vitality, let the land restore itself, take care of even things like pollution and, just more organic, greener, more efficient ways to do things, because when we farm, it's you're looking into the future, and we want to make sure that our future generations have the ability and have the opportunity to be able to grow their own food, eat real food, and not have to depend on genetically modified foods or even 3D printed food. Got to take care of. We got to take care of the earth. It's just like I like to say, the earth needs a spa day. What I'm saying? We need to massage the earth. Give it a massage. Let it, hot towel across the shoulders, and make sure that Mother Earth gets her rest and relaxation and rejuvenate as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to thank you for sharing that. So this is the first time I'm actually viewing this video, so I'm just gonna pull it up and share. Maybe that will give us some idea of. Okay, so he's talking about the agricultural component of that. So I'm going to pull up the marine components. I do want to apologize. I am not as tech savvy as I would like to be. I do have some technical skills, but I know I could be better. Let me just pull up that other video. Come out of this one. I'll open up this one. Okay, so I'll play that. I do apologize. The videos seems a bit low. The volume, that is. I'll play that. Okay, so this is our governmental. Well, this I see this last video. Let me just pull this up and see, and then we'll again continue our conversation. Okay, so let me just post that. Okay, yeah, so that is the Bahamas Agricultural Marine Sciences Institute in the Bahamas. So they look at training entrepreneurs and training persons within the agricultural industry. Is there more work to do? Yes, there's more work to do because currently at this time, I think that we produce goods for to distribute within our local communities, but we're not prepared to export our goods. So not in the scale that we need to. So there's more work to be done. I don't know if you want to add any comments.
I just wanted to say what I just watched. I couldn't hear it very well, but what I just watched is pretty much what we're trying to emulate up here. And this is just some hip, young, melanated students involved in environmental science and agriculture. You have the young lady posting her experience, and ultimately that's what we're trying to, do our small part and make go viral here. So I think that's very interesting.
And I hope the viewers can see. Can you see the wide openness of their eyes? Can you see the twinkle in their eyes? Can you see the smiles on their faces when they're out there in nature and eating soil to supper dinners and learning more about this thing called the environment and their place in it? It's just, this knowledge is waiting to come out of us. Like, it's already in us. It's just waiting to come out of us by being reintroduced to us on the, by us being reintroduced to it. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and that's what we're working toward. And I know that you guys you're interested in reaching the younger generation as well. And so that is what we're working toward. We want to start at that age because we realize and we understand that the agricultural industry is not really marketed, it's not really packaged for that. I mean, I don't know, I could be wrong, but it's not really packaged for that. Go ahead, Mr. Claiborne.
No, I'm saying it's not. A lot of times you're not going to hear about, I'll say it this way, you're not going to hear about it until high school. Maybe you're fortunate to have a counselor that happens to tell you about agriculture. We have a program up here called 4-H. A lot of the older generations had a great experience with 4-H. It prepares you for, just the outdoors. But, a lot of our students aren't necessarily in areas or, have easy access to 4-H. FHA, this is Future Farmers of America. And so what happens is you're going to spend your whole elementary, middle school years and most of your high school years when your mind is still, open to new experiences. And, we get bombarded with everything else but environmental stewardship. Sometimes we might be fortunate to go fishing with an uncle, maybe go camping once or twice, but to really see it under the auspice of a career path, not just getting a job, but figuring out different niches to create businesses. Unfortunately, a lot of our students don't even hear about it until their counterparts across the world, have already had a full introduction to it throughout their developmental years, to where by the time they're 18 years old, 19, thinking about either taking up a trade or taking up an academic path, they're at a disadvantage. And it's not that the intellectual capacity doesn't exist, but the context. Oh, I didn't know that this was a thing. I thought this was just a couple of paragraphs in my science book. I thought this was just a few paragraphs in my social studies book. And so I think one of the opportunities we do have, I know up here there's a big thing about COVID lockdowns, and there was a lot of parents who were forced to have to teach their kids from home. As a parent of two, I have toddlers, and so they're not in regular school. but I was personally glad that I had more time with them in a home setting to teach them. My children don't know how to talk good yet, but they know how to garden. John will tell you, my son, outside.
Outside.
And this is just because I don't want to say forced, but we were forced to have to kind of work with our families. And so it's once again, culture starts within the home. And so really making this something that's important, not to beat anybody over the head. Those images were beautiful, what you showed of those videos from the government, because ultimately I couldn't articulate better if that's ultimately just what we're trying to do here, create more images like that. More young people on I know the TikTok. I was presenting to a group of kids yesterday, and one of the girls was just in the TikTok videos. But creating, agritourism is a big, it's a big open industry to where children are enjoying being outdoors. Taking little video shots of it. Disseminating these images to other students to then get them to be like, you know what, I want to go outdoors too. Like they're having a good time. This was a melanated person giving this information, meaning, okay, this is something where I have an opportunity to succeed in. And so you can say a lot more by images than with words.
And also, we want agriculture to become, bigger and more prominent in our culture. And when you combine agriculture with popular culture, the outcome is tremendous. When you add music with the farming and, poetry with the farming, and let the natural, beauty of nature be your backdrop to culture, now you're playing with something, because, you're really reaching to the inner souls of people in a very organic way. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's like once we get there, that's when we'll really see the power of agriculture as well as the power of food.
Talking about that proverbial the salad you were talking about earlier, that you want the actual real one from the Caribbean. Something as simple as a salad, marketing it to where, okay, you have a large base of people in Florida, the Southeast, we can't accept anything other than natural. So these create trade partnerships. Obviously you have your quality control, but this creates new jobs. But it's being able to have this conversation across the water to where, both sides can agree, okay, hey, y'all have products, y'all go grow good products, but a lot of them are just being consumed locally. We want some of this export money. Whereas up here, hey, we want some of this natural, original, authentic cooking. We want some of these natural, authentic fruits and vegetables. How many middlemen can we cut out of this for both sides are getting what they want? We have products here that we're able to export. This will help some of our farmers here that are getting cut out of markets. There's nothing illegal about that. When we're thinking about what you have down there with is it BAMSI? Is that what it's called? And the USDA, guess what? A win for the Black farmers is a win for national agriculture. A new import or a new export opportunity for the farmers down there is a win for them. That looks good on BAMSI. Not just looks good, it stimulates economy. Our whole goal is, how do we get our young people to come into this competing? The same way some of our young men will compete to be on a basketball team or baseball team or football team, soccer team. We want you to compete to be competitors in food production, food distribution, food marketing. The same, like you said, just those images alone. There's some people might not ever touch a farm, but if you can make this look cool enough, if we can, do more farm parties, right? I remember when I was in college that the white boys used to have field parties, and that was weird to me. I'm like, why would y'all go out but these are niches. We're a jovial people. And so, once again, how can we make this a bigger part of our common culture? Because we know we like to eat, and we know, our producers need to make some money. In these other markets where they're tending to get shut out, we still realize, okay, we got family across the water that wants a good product that I can produce. And so instead of exhausting all this energy, waiting on somebody to come do something for me, have a change of heart, suddenly notice my plight, suddenly notice, hey, we're losing our land. Why don't we just work with our brothers and sisters who have a desire for the products we're producing and have this grassroots conversation? Don't wait for, people who aren't having this struggle to try to have this conversation. Because sometimes they just don't know. Somebody in a suit and tie and whatever government building, and this throwing no shade, if you're not out on the field with these farmers, if you're not out in the market, or out with them trying to find these new markets, it's not going to come to your mind. Like, you really have to be in the mud. You have to be in the grassroots to understand the issues that are affecting these producers. But saying that to say, we have to be able to create markets for one another. And it is the absolute possible solution. It's not an overnight thing. We didn't get to this point overnight, so we can't rationally expect that it will be solved overnight. But the degree that we as a global community and local community can not only value our producers, the farmers who are putting their prints in the mud, but value our place as consumers, value our place as tastemakers. With this podcast you're doing, all it takes is one person that watched this, that heard a conversation contextualized in a different way, that can take an action immediately. Oh, the sister was talking about this. You know what? I want to invest in some property for storage. I want to invest in some boats. I want to invest in something that's going to get this product from point A to point B to help this farmer who feels like he's shut out of a market or somehow isn't able to get, access to some of the subsidies that these other farmers that I'm competing with. And so it's the degree that we can value it, and not only us in our layer, but get the younger layer to understand that this is the grand game. This is the grand competition to feed yourself. And once you can feed yourself, then guess what? A lot of other politics become a lot easier.
I want to thank you for sharing that, both of you. And I want to shout out to Yolanda for joining us, for viewing the session today. Thank you for joining us today, Yolanda. And also, I want to talk about what you said about the farmers being shut out of the industry. And a viewer did reach out and express their concern and their challenges within the industry in our local context. If they're able to join us today, that would be great. If not, we'll continue the conversation, but there are people, they're listening. And that is why we need to continue to have these conversations, because it is a thing and it is an issue within our global community, not just local, global. We're faced with these issues again, as we would have mentioned before in our previous session. At some point, we went into the grocery store and found out that we couldn't find certain products, and we felt the impact of the pandemic. And so this is a reality. So if this isn't a wake-up call for persons to realize that we need to be more secure in producing our own food, I don't know what else we need. Really, I don't know what else we need. And so this takes me to another question is, what advice would you give as it pertains to how we can work together as a global community to ensure food security?
One thing in my humble opinion, is to do what we're doing now. And we're having this conversation, but we're not just having a conversation. We're brainstorming on solutions, not just the problems, but brainstorming on solutions, and hopefully, more importantly, on the path towards cooperation and collaboration. We got to work together. Many hands make light work. The problem is very big, but many hands make light work. And the collective strength of peoples, we can really literally lift up the universe.
And to chime in once again, really have very specific conversations between the producers and both parts of the diaspora. What is it that you produce well and efficiently? What is it that you buy? Leave nothing to chance. You don't want to guess your way through this. We want to be very specific. The salad you were speaking of earlier is the best example. This is something that people like. What goes into a salad? Lettuce. I don't know all the ingredients in that salad.
Salad.
What's that?
This is a conch salad.
Conch salad. So being
Okay, so
very
you brought it up. See, you touching the soul right now. So let me just say, I just gotta interject that tropical conch salad. Okay, so you have your onions, you got your tomato, you got your green pepper. Okay, sometimes they put in the pineapple, they put the citrus, the orange. So I just want to touch those ingredients. Have you tried it, Mr. Claiborne?
I haven't.
You
but,
have to try it. Come on, man, you gotta try that.
Taste buds. I gotta get off here shortly. But yeah,
Yeah.
something as simple as a salad, identifying the very specific ingredients. What is it? How much land is needed if we want to sell a million of these salads in a year? And so this is from the Caribbean end. Okay, we create the products that go into this salad. We know that we're going to have a million people in North America over the course of a year buy this salad. So being very specific, how much space do we need to store these products? Where are the specific location we're going to send these products to before we put anything in the ground? Likewise, identifying specific American dishes that the Black farmers are poised, have the land, because you don't have to have a million acres. You just have to have a very specific, concise market. And so these are conversations where, we're not wasting each other's time trying to hash out, literally figure out, what do you eat that we produce here? What do you eat that we produce down here? Create these mechanisms. You can rent certain boats, right? Or, what is the shipping? Factor in shipping, because what you want to do is you want to eliminate as much of the middleman as possible. Pay your taxes, do everything above ground. So this is not promoting anything illegal, being very codified. You just say, oh yeah, we'll sell you bananas. No, we want specific meals that once again, we can market. Same way Pepsi is going to market sugar water, same way McDonald's is going to market hamburgers. We're marketing these conch salads in a way that's never been done before. It's not a subculture like, hey, this is a thing. What do you understand? We like to buy nice things. And so the same way we market Gucci bags and everything else that's become a part of our culture, we market these very specific agricultural products that we're trading with one another. And there's nothing going to come from the sky and destroy us from doing that. But, once again, this is a very specific solution. What do you grow that you can grow effectively, even if you don't get help from your government, even if you don't have a lot of land? What do you grow down there? How much processing will be needed to create this conch salad? How much processing would be needed to create this specific, I don't know what meals you like from America down there, but you understand what I'm saying. Okay, is it going to cost me a lot to produce it? Because if it does, I can't do it. And so we want to be very specific. These are cost-effective things that don't require a lot of outside help, to where the producers are having to wait for somebody to come and put some inputs in their operation. If we can do this over a course of years, we're talking about stimulating tens of millions of dollars. It doesn't sound like a lot now, but once again, simultaneously, we're raising these young people to see, hey, I do see some value in this. I can take what I'm understanding about what these old cats talking about this farm stuff are doing, but I'm going to add this to it. These farmers, can you imagine what the farmers last 10 years or 20 years could have done if they had such thing as social media, where you can market conch salad, and literally, if you have enough influencers talking about it, you have hundreds of thousands of people seeing it at the same time. That's creating markets. So being very specific.
And again, these conversations we're having is just like starting a path. Like, we're getting from point A to point B. And right now we're just walking. We're walking and talking, but we're making a path. And once we get that path or that pipeline established, now we can build a road. And now we can get there by plane, by sky, by air, but again, we never forget this original path that we created just by walking and talking. And that's how you build financial food security.
I want to thank you both for joining us today and having this talk about agriculture and food security. And we're going to close right now, Mr. Claiborne. I know you have to leave, but I want you to share your social media pages. But before you do, I just want to mention that when we talk about agriculture and food security, and we talked a lot about the tropical conch salad, that's a thing because we're now facing issues with our conch and preserving our conch population. Sorry, and so that's the thing. That's the thing. And so we need to talk about these issues. But I want you to share your social pages before we close.
Okay, you can catch us on YouTube at B1 Ag. You can also see us at the Black Boss channel on YouTube, and on Facebook. You can catch us at brothersonsports.com or Boss Sports, and that's where we go live. And also, if you would like to email us or just reach out to us, it's b1aghiphop@gmail.com.
Thank you. Mr. Claiborne, would you like to share our page or?
It's the same.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope that we can continue this discussion. And follow us. You can comment under this video if you have anything you want us to talk about, anything that you would like to add. Follow us. We're on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and we're on TikTok. So I want to thank you for joining us today. Gentlemen, thank you as well, and we'll have a good one. Bye.
Protect your conch at all costs.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a great one.
You too.
Okay.